Hi, Denise.
Morning, Francis.
I'm going to make you the full host because I have not
Oh,
I don't know how because I am trying to.
morning, Francis.
Good morning. I'm going to make you the full host because I have not
Oh,
just I don't know how because I am trying to.
morning, Francis.
Good morning. I'm going to make you the. Yes, I am. I am broadcasting it on YouTube at the same time this time, so that's new. And here it seems that I have lost control of the recording.
Adventures in Technology. Can you just transfer me to host at the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go to Zoom here. It seems that I have a different screen on Zoom. When I do this. Oh yes, now I'm good. Now I'm good. View.
Are you taking questions from both?
No,
You,
I don't know how it works on the other side, but certainly not.
No, because on YouTube you are the lion.
On YouTube, they just are passive observers.
there is the option to let people
So the
put
distant
questions.
cousins on YouTube,
Yeah.
the extended family.
That's why I found the both at the same time.
Sounds like Lynn might have some experience with YouTube, and she thinks there's an option for them to be able to ask questions.
There
Yeah,
is, but he doesn't want him to do
today
that.
we're just trying step by step.
Yes.
I have never conducted experiments with this, so I'm conducting experiments live. So I think that will be sufficient to.
But it's good that I'm co-host. That way I can mute people if their mic is unmuted.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like there's a waiting room. So it looks like I can admit people from the waiting room.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Just,
I'll click admit?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
waiting rooms are optional. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the setup was without meeting room before that.
Without waiting room.
Yeah. Gee. I don't see the recording button. Okay, now I can see it. Okay, for some reason, I am better here.
So for people who are new, we'll probably have breakout rooms after the dialogue if you want to stay.
Okay, remind me.
Yeah, I'll try to remind you. And last week, Maureen reminded you to record. It kind of passed over me. I'm going to mute.
It seems that I can invite people too.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't
so
see.
I'm not going to do any of that, but just want to let you know.
You mean admit people from a waiting room?
It actually says, oh, something else. That's inviting. Okay, forget that.
Okay.
I was probably sending a link to somebody.
Okay. I'm going to mute myself. And also for folks who are new, you raise your hand in the reaction section to get in a queue to ask Francis questions.
Did Francis say he was able to record?
We will remind him once he gets started. He should be able to.
Yeah, he said he was having trouble, so I wondered if
Oh,
then
yeah.
he said, well, I'm all right, so I'm not sure. Good.
Yeah. We'll see.
Okay, so it seems that we have no questions here, so the dialogue is going to be very short as usual.
I have a question, but I don't find the hand. I only find the clapping.
Petra does. And then remember to record.
You cannot find the hand. You have a thing that says at the bottom of your screen, raise hand. So you click there and it will raise your hand if you have a question, and I will answer the question in the order the
No,
hand.
it's usually by the reactions, but there is just the clapping hand, the thumb up, and the smiley.
Yeah, because it's different this time. It's just next to reactions. It's no longer in the reaction. Okay.
No, I cannot. Oh, what did I do now? Sorry, I cannot find it. Oh, wait.
Okay, let me start the recording, Krista. Yes, hi, Krista. You're in India?
You. Hi. Hello. I'm finally in an appropriate time zone.
Oh, yeah? You're back to
I'm in Florida.
Florida.
Yes, yes. Oh, well, I'm wanting to get a better sense of this relationship between the glimpse and stability. Like where does the glimpse shift to stability? For some, the kind of great sages, whatnot, it's this boom and then it stays. But for most, it seems to be a kind of well, let me ask you, is it something that there is like a gradual sort of deepening of understanding of the truth of our being, and slowly the residual habits and memories go away? Or because I'm still feeling like there's an understanding, but not a stabilization in that understanding, or full integration, let's call it maybe.
What we have to understand is that there are two levels. There is the absolute level, in which there are no things. There is only one. And then there is the relative level, on which there are you and me and the world. It's often called Maya, right? This level. And imagine, if I can use a metaphor, a room which is full of things, but has no windows, and there is a light switch. If you switch on the light, you see all the objects. If you switch it off, there are no objects. So that's, it's only an image, of course. The truth is not what you see. The reality is the room with or without the light, right? Whether the switch is on or off, the reality is whatever is there, right? So at any given moment, either you see nothing, switch off, or you see all the objects, switch on, right? Mm-hmm. It's a reality in both cases. Now, when the switch is off, there are no objects that would correspond to our presence without anything, because we are still there, right? There is nothing, but we are still there, right? Now, here is how ignorance can be explained, is that when the switch is on, you see the object, you forget yourself, you believe to be one of the objects in the room, right? There is a picture of you in the room. And you believe to be this picture. That's ignorance, right? When the switch is off, you are yourself. In this moment, there is nobody else. There is nothing else than you. So you cannot identify with any of you don't see your picture in the room, you don't see anything else. So there is nothing but you. So you are yourself. That's a glimpse. Because I'm going back to your question. At that moment, there is nothing you can identify with. There is only you. So you know yourself, right? And then the switch goes on, right? And there is this picture of you, right? And there is in the room also, and that's what is difficult to present in the metaphor, in the room, in other words, in that which is perceived. And in other words, that which is perceived includes the external objects, but it includes also the feelings, the bodily sensations, the memories. All of that is still there, right? So in my metaphor, the memories, the body, the thoughts, they are out there in the room, right? And they are not they have not been recognized yet for what they are. So you still, the pictures, the various pictures of you are still there. So you get attached to them again, you forget. But you don't forget completely what was revealed during the glimpse. There is this being yourself as the witness of all the room that remains, you see. And as you keep switching on and off the light, this identification with the objects, you believing to be this picture of you, which is in the room, there is a distance that takes place. In other words, even when the light is on, you remain yourself. You see? So the way it happens is that in the beginning, the switch, the light is off. You know yourself. You because there is only you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you switch on the light, instantaneously, you switch on the light, you still know yourself. You see. The objects appear in the room, you still know yourself. In other words, the identification, the re-identification with your picture, which is on some coffee table there, doesn't occur immediately. It takes some time, you understand? Because during the glimpse, you are yourself. The fact that the image of you appears doesn't imply immediate identification. For sometimes you remain yourself. Perhaps it's 1 second, perhaps 1 millisecond. And then you re-identify. But as glimpses reoccur and reoccur, when you see the room and when you see your picture again, this identification doesn't occur immediately. It takes time. So you remain distanced from the I thought or the I feeling for longer. And gradually, or incrementally, glimpse after glimpse, you remain unconcerned, unmoved, without worries, without going back to this thing. You know, that's how the process can be described. But
does it reach a critical mass where there's like no going back? Does it reach a place where you stop, you look at a picture and it's just a picture and you never think it's you?
That's where the problem arises, is that this question itself, when you ask this question, you ask the question, really, is this image which appears in the room going to be stable? At that moment, you understand. Yes.
I do, yeah, I get it.
Yes, you see? So this mechanism is still a leftover of identifying.
Yeah.
You say you got it. So, and this mechanism of believing to be a seeker, asking the question, for instance, did I have the glimpse? Or when am I going to be stable? You see?
Right,
and there are many things like that. For instance, the other thing is conversations about gurus. You know, you see that all over the internet, you know, conversations such as, does this guru have the proper lineage? You know, did Francis have the proper lineage? You know, was Jean Klein enlightened? Ramana Maharshi was enlightened, but he is the only one being enlightened. All of that is complete bullshit. You see? Because the only thing that matters is your experience, your understanding. It doesn't matter the lineage of this guru, because why do one people be sure that the guru is the right guru based on the lineage? It's because they don't trust their own understanding, right? Their own experience. So as long as they do this, they are not going to be real truth seeker. They are then in a religion. You see, that's how a religion begins. Mm-hmm. That's why Jean Klein used to say, from the vantage point of the teacher, there is no teacher and disciple. There is no such a distance. Because if you don't believe to be this separate body, you cannot believe to be a teacher. I mean, you can play the role of being a teacher. Yes, the teacher, Jean-Claude used to say, the teacher arises when there is a question, right? Then there is the appearance of the teacher because there was a question. But other than that, we are nothing and we are everything. You, I, everybody listening to this. You see? So going back, so asking the question, is this teacher enlightened? BS. Asking the question, am I enlightened? BS. Thinking I am enlightened, that's ignorance. Thinking I am in ignorance, that's ignorance too. Yeah. So it's that simple. But once we understand the process whereby we fall out of grace, so to speak, we identify again, it's ignorance is very tricky, it's very sneaky. So in the beginning, we became aware of the obvious mechanisms of identification, meaning some occurrences. If someone tells me, you're stupid, then no, I'm not stupid. I am this universal self, the same as you, which is pure intelligence. So why would I get angry if you call me stupid? It's like people who get angry when their religion is challenged. That's pure ignorance, because it would be like a scientist getting angry if someone tells them, well, the earth is flat or there is no gravity. I mean, if someone tells a physicist there is no gravity on the surface of the earth, they would just laugh, It's okay, that's your problem, my dear, But they want to get angry and try to kill the guy. Why? Because they come from a place of experience and truth, which is stable. But if you come from a place of belief, which is unstable, then you as a person are attached to this belief, and that's a subtle element of identification, right, of you, infinite, invisible presence with some concept, some object, some religion, So we have to debunk all these occurrences, all these tricks of ignorance. And that's how we liberate ourselves, glimpse after glimpse. It's a process. The next question is there a time when we are completely free from that? No. Second question, does it matter? No. Why? Because if it matters to you, you are in ignorance. But the second thing is what I often say. If you compare a condition in which you are free and without worries 99.99% of the time with a prior condition where you had a sense of doom 99.99% of the time. Come on. It's like the guy who had to walk, he's given a Mercedes all of a sudden, and then he said, I definitely would prefer a Bugatti. Come on. You can drive comfortably instead of having to walk, and
Well, thank you. That helps kind of adjust the expectations.
Okay. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hi, Francis.
Yes. Hi, Louise.
Hi. I'm afraid my question is also on the perspective from a picture, but I feel a lot of struggle lately with like the lack and the not feeling the oneness, and really how to bring about causeless joy without connecting it to anything. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
This sense of lack is both in the mind and in the body. It is an obstacle, of course, to happiness. And here is what happens. Okay, here is happiness. Here is a sense of lack. And here is where we are. We don't want to confront the sense of lack. We would like to jump over it, to go there. Okay? It's just not possible. We need to go through this so that we can go there. But we cannot do this. So what does it mean to face it? When we experience it, it has its power, the sense of lack has over us, is only because it remains in the twilight. It remains in the twilight, and somehow it seems frightening, and we don't want to come close, which keeps us on the wrong side, because we cannot do this. When we come here, and then we do this. So it requires courage. And as we come closer to it, then we begin to see with more clarity this sense of lack. We can see it's like a tree, if you will. It has branches superstructure, and it has roots. The branches are thoughts, concepts of being separate, habits. And the roots are feelings, but they are really in the body. They are bodily sensations. So it's this frightening tree. And at any moment, we are on some branch or limb on the tree or on some roots, and we move from one to another constantly, from feeling to thought, thought to feeling, etc. Constantly we oscillate. As we come closer to this tree, which hides the truth, which is the obstacle, instead of oscillating at a distance, we get closer to the trunk, to the single trunk. What is frightening is this full mass of things. The trunk itself, when we get there, is not much. It's no big deal. You see, that it's like they say, if you're hiking in the woods in California and or in the mountains, if a mountain lion comes to you, you have to make yourself big, not to be attacked. And the fact that you are making yourself bigger, in fact, doesn't increase the threat to the mountain lion, right? But the mountain lion believes you are big. So the bigger the tree, right?
Yeah.
The more formidable the obstacle seems to be. And what we have to understand is that as we come closer to the tree and move against our fear to observe the tree is going to shrink. Because the tree is our own creation.
Yeah.
You see, that's all I can tell you. In other words, that was a metaphor, but practically speaking, when you feel the sense of lack, do your best to investigate it. But by investigate means really to see it, to allow for it to present itself, for the tree to present itself in its totality. And unlike the tree, in fact, it's not a picture, it's a video. It's something that moves, that changes all the time. So it's a video that you watch up until a certain point. But as you watch it, a clarity comes in, simplification comes in. Usually, for people who follow this type of path, clarification begins on the level of concepts, on the level of thoughts. But then there is an irrational aspect, in the body that also has to be allowed.
And can you I want to be a little bit practical about it. So, because if, let's say it comes as a story or as a train of thought, sometimes I'm confused when is it telling a story and when do I contribute, or when is it telling a story and how do I not add to it? I think sometimes it's difficult to tell. I think it's difficult to separate, like, when is it just telling and when is it being added to. I think it's difficult to do. I think it's difficult to understand where, like, how to explain. I think it's difficult to understand when is it unfolding and
listen.
How
it's always unfolding. What you have to understand is that you are the storyteller.
Yeah.
But the storyteller is never in the story.
Okay.
And ignorance is the belief that someone in the story is a storyteller.
Yeah. Okay. I'm, I'm, it's not clear how to let it unfold when you say like just let it come closer and then.
Well, I was talking about the sense of me, the sense of separation, the sense of loneliness, the sense of the fear that comes with it, of being abandoned, etc. All of that, so the fear of not living your life to its fullest.
Yeah.
All this fear, if we believe them, they will isolate us even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I can kind of rationally tell that it's not true, that I'm not isolated. I can go there with my mind. Rationally, I can say, obviously, this, like, from observing the world, I can say this is not true. Like, the story isn't true. But still, the felt sensation is still that it is a separate sensation, bodily sensation, and I feel isolated and I just don't feel, and I can have moments where I feel connected. Like I think it's easier actually with nature and some animals, but with human beings, it comes in small moments, and then when it happens, then my mind naturally connects it to the human being instead of to the oneness, and then it becomes very important to stay connected with that one person because that is the bridge, it seems, and then I know I'm back to the starting point, you see. So it's all these games that seem so stupid that I rationally know it doesn't come from this source. But I keep going to this place where Leslie found the bridge, and then I go to the bridge and it sends me back to the starting point again in a way. And it just seems like I'm going in loops or I don't go anywhere at this moment.
Yes, human relationships are because as this body mind has a need for social relationship, partners, friends, and we have to accept that.
Yeah.
But what is tricky is that the precondition for that to be harmonious, is precisely to let go of this sense of separation.
Yeah.
So relationships are a yoga exercise, right?
I feel it creates like an even stronger connection to this identification because it comes from a place where everything feels kind of in a flow and pretty good, and then sometimes then I make a connection with someone, for example, and then it seems like the identification becomes much stronger in that when I start to relate, and then all these like conditionings and pattern just kicks in, and it just fucks the whole thing up basically. And then as I said, then it's like infinite loop of like wanting to keep the sensations of like you can have moments of where you really feel things are very connected, and I feel it feels like you have a small fire and together with another person you have a small fire and then you have a bigger fire, but then it becomes very important to keep that connection with that specific person because that's where you feel there, you know what I mean? And in that moment I'm cooked, I feel like then this bridge kind of like, because then I'm in full identification and then the whole thing kicks in again.
Because you believe that the connection is from person to person. You see?
And I know, like, yes, it's not that I kind of can see that it's not, but I don't know how to bring about it alone is what I like. I don't really know how to. It is
You
not at the moment. I don't feel like I can
you're
find my
you're
joy.
attached to the outcome in the relationship, so all you can do is to be open to the relationship, to be open that you and the apparent other are one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to the extent that then you stay in this condition, in this position, you and I are one, we are the same.
Yeah.
The evolution on the level of the story will be the best possible one. It will be optimal. Whether the relationship goes down the drain or whether it flourishes, in both cases, it will be the best possible outcome. It will be beautiful, wonderful for all parties involved. You see, that's how you build the trust in the truth, by trying to live it in your life, especially in these moments that matter for you. It's easy to be impersonal when something doesn't matter, meaning there is no attachment. It's more difficult to conduct this experiment when the issue matters, when it's with a close relative, for instance.
But when people say, I think I also confuse a lot of the things being said, because like what no, I'm just gonna be like, with no to love with no attachment, for example. What would your definition be of this? I think I'm super attached to a lot of human beings, I feel I'm attached to a lot of, and I think it's very beautiful, and it sounds like such a nice concept that it could be all this.
We are attached to the loves that flows through them.
Yeah.
The human body-mind is just an instrument, a machine, a vehicle. When someone dies and you see the body, you understand that the person you loved and you had these good moments with, and you received so much from them and you gave so much to them, is no longer there. You see? So what is it that we loved? We loved the love in them. We loved this connection.
Yeah.
So it is this invisible connection that we seek in all relationships. We seek the connection of love.
Yeah.
And then, of course, relationships, they have all kinds of manifestations, children, parents, partners, friends, strangers, enemies, or hostile people, assholes, all of that is the full enchilada of our relations.
Yeah. I think it's difficult not to connect it to the other, like to the physical. I think it's challenging not to just see it as, yeah. But because I believe I'm a picture, so of course I believe they're a picture too.
Yes, because we connect also to other elements, to beauty, to yes. It's an interesting adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We have to accept for our rigidity to melt away. You have to recognize something in us, a form of rigidity, and to allow, and it takes time for this rigidity to.
Yeah. I feel less drawn to seek it in objective in general. I feel like in an objective experience to seek joy or peace through something, like But there's some things are very difficult. I feel the love part is difficult. I feel to find in solitude in some way. I think it seems more challenging. Maybe it's because it's separated as different things. Like at peace one thing, love another. But it just seems more different or difficult to understand that concept. Then
you see, one thing about love is that it's important to honor love when we get loved. It's important to send a signal. It's kind to acknowledge a receipt, you see. Every time we are loved, not to take it for granted, but to reciprocate, you know?
Yeah.
Because it maintains a connection.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good to see you, Louise.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, hi, Petra.
Hey, Francis. Thank you, Louise, for that. That was, yeah, thank you. My question is about, I think it's similar to the first one, but I didn't hear her question because I was looking for the hand up, but I'm going to refer to it. So, presence is, you say, when the room is without light, and then we switch on, and there is ignorance, and over the time.
No, there is not ignorance. It means that just the world, the mind, and the body appear.
Yes.
Sense perceptions, bodily sensations, and thoughts appear. That's what I meant by switching on the light.
Yeah, so I think
not
I can't.
Ignorance.
Oh, then I heard it wrong because I read when you say ignorance is when you switch it on.
Ignorance is when the light is on.
Yes.
So I can see thoughts, bodily sensations, and sense perceptions. When I, the perceiver of the room, believe to be one of these objects I perceive, the perceiver of the room has never been in the room. The room and all of the objects in it, thoughts, bodily sensations, and sense perceptions, appear in the perceiver.
Yes.
When we switch off the light, the room and everything in it disappears. The perceiver remains as itself, knows itself in this moment. That's what I call the glimpse.
And then you said when the light is switched on, you still know you are yourself?
In the beginning, yes, because since in the absence of the objects, you know yourself in the glimpse.
Yes, yes.
It takes time as the objects reappear. It takes time to leave your place here and stick to an object. In the beginning, it's almost immediate. Whoop, I identify. But the moment I have had this experience of my reality,
yes,
it never gets completely forgotten because something has changed in the room itself. And this time it takes to find a new object I identify with in the room gets longer and longer.
Yes, so there is less and less identification.
Because the reason is that because, if you will, the objects in the room with which I identify, the set of these objects is limited, is finite.
Yes.
So let's say I identify with one of them, with object number one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Then I have the glimpse, oh no, I'm not this object number one.
Yes.
The next time object number one appears, I say, oh, no, that's not me. But I may be object number two. So then I identify with object number two. And then I have a glimpse, oh no, I was not object number two. So I explore all the objects in the room. So then when I come out of the glimpse, I don't identify with most objects. So it takes time. I'm here. Okay, I know already I'm not this, that. And then there is an object in a corner that, oh, I have not denied this object yet. I identify. But in the meantime, I've experienced a quasi-continuity of not being identified for some time, because most of the objects that appear have been already re-evaluated and dismissed as being me.
So when there is the saying, ignorance goes, but illusion remains, that for me, when I hear that, is difficult.
Yeah. Illusion is a wrong term.
Yeah, because I was thinking that for me doesn't make sense, because either ignorance goes and I know who I am, but then I still would look through the veil of the concepts and senses. So then either I'm just aware of myself, but then there are no objects, or then there is no body. There is not a body I can see through, which is veiled by concepts and the senses. So I never really understand that when saying ignorance goes, but illusion remains. Is there a time when even illusion is away?
Okay.
Or that's just the wrong question?
No. I can answer this question. Ignorance goes because ignorance is the attachment of what I am with an object. Ignorance is the belief that I, consciousness, am an object.
Yes.
Okay, that's what ignorance is. So in ignorance, I believe I am some objects in the room, right? When ignorance disappears, it doesn't mean that the room and its objects appear.
Can you say that bit again? Just the last sentence.
When ignorance is not there, is not present.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that the objects in the rooms are not present.
Oh.
That which is no longer there is my attachment to one object or several objects in the room. I believe that I am this object.
So I think that's where I get a bit confused, or maybe when cat bites its tail, because doesn't...
Let me give you an example of that.
Yes.
When ignorance disappears, for instance, the belief that I am this human body disappears.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that this human body disappears.
Oh. So it's still here. I'm aware I'm not that.
What?
So the body can still be here, and I'm aware I'm not that. I'm not the body. I don't identify with the body. That doesn't mean the body is not here.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that the thought I is not here.
But wouldn't
I
I
am
then?
not but I am not the I thought.
So
let me just answer your question, because from the Vedantic position or the Vedantic teaching is that which is real is that which never changes, that which is always present.
yeah.
That's the self, that's awareness, that's the reality. The objects, the world, the mind, the body, that's Maya. That's an illusion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to be careful. It's an illusion as what is a mistake is to believe that this Maya, this has an independent existence from my reality, from the reality, from that which is not an illusion. But when we understand that Maya, the world of forms, is in fact the shape that this reality takes at that moment, then it's no longer an illusion, you see?
Yeah.
So the world, the mind, and the body, they are an illusion only if we see them as having a separate and independent existence from our reality, which we experience as consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, the reality of the world is not independent from our reality. We
Yes.
share the same reality. And
because there is only one.
What?
Because there is only one reality.
Yes, there is only
so
one.
We have to share that reality.
Yes. And
yes.
Because we are not separate from the world, right?
Yes.
So because we are not separate from the world, we are very much part of the world as a human body. So our reality and the reality of the world has to be the same. And our reality, we experience it as consciousness. That's our reality. The reality of our human experience is consciousness. That which is hearing my words in this moment. If that is not real, nothing is real. Because if that which is perceiving the world is not real.
Yeah, I think the tricky point for me is also when there is no identification with this body, then I wouldn't know, like it wouldn't feel like I look through my eyes, I could look through your eyes. It still feels I'm looking, or consciousness looks through this body and not through your body. So maybe there's still a lot of identification, but
how do you know that? For instance, look, you have no problem in saying, yes, it is the same consciousness that was aware of my bedroom as I woke up this morning, and which is perceiving Francis' words right now.
Yes.
Why?
I don't feel a separation on that. Yeah.
But whatever was in your bedroom, the perceptions and the thoughts that occur to you at that moment, they are no longer present, right?
Yeah, they're no longer present.
So But nevertheless, you say, yes, that's the same consciousness.
Yes.
You have no proof that it is the same consciousness.
No, that it's like it's not a feeling. It's like it can't be other. Clear, I don't know.
But yes. So,
sorry.
but nevertheless, you have no proof that it is the same consciousness because the content is completely different.
But if it's not the same, then I would have to find a border, a gap, and I cannot see a gap or a border between those two events.
Well, can you feel a border between your consciousness and mine?
No.
Because the argument you used was not a border between your consciousness and my consciousness. It was based upon a different content of your consciousness and my consciousness.
Yes.
You said, I'm not aware of your thoughts and your perceptions. That's content. That's the content of consciousness. That's why I use the same argument. You are no longer aware of the content of your consciousness this morning. That doesn't prevent you from feeling, from at least being open to the possibilities that the consciousness this morning and the consciousness right now is the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what I am showing to you, that the content of the consciousness cannot tell us anything regarding the limitations or the borders of consciousness. Yeah. So we have been conditioned because for whatever reason, to accept that it is the same consciousness that follows the human body over time. Because we were always addressed as Petra or Francis, right? So that seemed to establish a continuity, but the continuity was there already. But with other people, there was Francis and there was Petra, right? So then there was a distinction there. But the experience of consciousness itself is as continuous or devoid of borders between Francis and Petra as it is devoid of borders and continuous as Petra now and Petra earlier on today. I know it's hard to swallow.
No, there is.
It's so strong.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
Good. That's good.
Is a very good example. I'm not sure only if the question still would remain that we never see an object as it really is because we look through the senses and concepts, we perceive it, but maybe it doesn't matter anyway.
We never see an object as it really is. If you and I, we look at the same flower, even if let's say you and I, we look at the same photograph or the same.
Yes.
I don't know that what you see as red is not what I see as blue, or that what you see as red is not the way I hear the note A, right? I don't know. We don't know. Yes.
Even if we're both free of ignorance, or then we would not have that. I would not have that question.
No, that has nothing to do with this. The mind remains the mind. It's just that as the body mind gets older, we don't hear as well and we don't see as well. But that's
So no one really knows what reality is. Only consciousness knows consciousness, but only not because it takes a form. No one really knows how anything is.
Listen, because what you mean by we never, that's a very interesting comment. We never know what reality really is. But because no perception of reality can give us a full account of reality.
That's what I mean.
Because reality is infinite.
Yes.
If we ever knew objectively through perception what reality is, it would mean that reality is this and not that.
Right. So we never can know through perception. And if there is no perception, there's just consciousness, then there is no object. So that it's obsolete at the end.
What we know, this human mind, body mind apparatus is very limited. We know reality through a very narrow window.
Yes.
Right? And in addition, we are kind of part of the reality we perceive. So our perception changes the reality we perceive. There is an interaction, right? And even from the vantage point of science, we know that somehow the world we perceive is not in a well-defined condition.
Yes.
The world we perceive is in a mixture, a superposition of possibilities.
Right? Yeah, because we perceive it. Because we perceive it, if that makes the limitation. Without perception, just consciousness without perception is not limited.
There is a limit.
But to perceive it, we limit it, right?
Yes.
So we never know what reality is.
It's a necessary process which is inherent in perceiving, right?
Yeah.
Perceiving is somehow a selection.
Yes.
Out of an infinite realm of possibilities. And
yeah. Thank you very much, Francis.
You're welcome, Petra.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you and everybody here. So, my life in general had been very nice, and this changed also since I got involved to what we're discussing here. A lot of peace, not so many worries. And I was in a relationship with my ex-partner for 6.5 years. And she decided out of the blue that she doesn't want to be with me anymore. Since this happened, it has been quite tough, I have to say. It seems as if like some events come packaged with a lot of suffering. somehow. And such an event would be, let's say, a breakup after a long relationship, or like when everything was great. So yeah, while I thought like this relationship was a celebration, maybe my happiness did not depend much, or did not depend on this. It seemed out, or now it's trying to prove me the other way around. Since like the past 2 months, for example, it has been quite tough on the feeling level. Although slowly.
How long ago did you break up?
2 months.
Oh, that's very recent.
Yeah, okay.
It's a grieving period.
Yeah. So it's normal.
Listen, if she first, it's always better to be left than to leave. And because all you have to do is that if she left, she was not happy for whatever reason, not because of you, for whatever reason. In my view, she was wrong. Okay? So, but too bad, right? She left. Okay. And what you have to understand is that if she wasn't happy in the relationship, you couldn't be really happy either. You may tell you a story right now. Yes, I was happy, but it's not possible, right? If she was not happy, there was tension, there was something fishy in the relationship, right? So, in fact, you have to stop telling you the stories that you were happy in this relationship. You were attached to her, right? But you were not happy in the relationship. Now, the grieving process includes attachment, reviewing, understanding what I've just said. Also, the mistakes you have made. That's the learning part. Relationships, they are also a school, they are a university, right? So the mistakes you have made, they are not important. They don't matter really. They only matter for you to understand so that you, whenever possible, you don't make them again in the future, right? The third thing, because I'm very practical in my answer, is that now for you is a time. It's like when you're sick, you first you stay in bed and you don't eat because you're not hungry, etc. And then there is a moment, you start getting out of bed, you eat a little bit, and then you go in the street and you're fine again, you see? So I remember I had a relationship for 2 years with this person. Then she went on a ski vacation. And I didn't hear any news for a week. So I was worried. Then finally, I get a call from her. And she said, well, I had an accident. I broke my leg. So I thought, okay, that explains everything, But then she said, but that's not all. There was a ski instructor who helped me out. And basically, I am in love with him. And, and I was kind of sad. But I was in love with the truth. And I understood that finally this relationship was not that great, And I cry a little, but I went to sleep. I could sleep that night, no problem. And I lived in a place. The next morning, it was Mars. I think, and the fruit trees outside, they were in bloom. And I thought, okay, spring is coming, you know. The girls are going to be wearing these light dresses. Life goes on. Life goes on. It's a time for friendship now. You see, first you need to be on your own, then connect with your friend again. And, sometimes as I said, sometimes your male friends, they have sisters, and their sisters have girlfriends.
This helps so much. I mean, regarding the mistakes, I noticed that because in general in my life, I've been like a person who is a giver. He gives always without expecting anything back or without waiting for something, or even without waiting for acknowledgement from the other person. And I realized in a relationship, because it's like something that both people work as a team, if you just give to the other person, he doesn't have the chance to show you also that, or to earn or to invest also in the relationship. And also when you get on the other side, everything like without you having to do much, then I'm thinking that you don't appreciate it so
Yeah,
much.
it
So
has to
if
be.
just given something like this, you unfortunately, it would have been nice if you we're grateful for it, but like I feel like we are not appreciating the things that are just giving to us like this. But if we work towards something, then I guess it's more important to us somehow.
It is about giving and receiving. There is this poem by Khalil Gibran. He says something. It is. I am paraphrasing, but he says it is the pleasure of the flower to be visited by the bee. And it is the pleasure of the bee to enjoy the sweetness of the flower. And he says, be in your relationship like the bees and the flowers. Giving and receiving is one single movement, because we are at the same time as consciousness on both sides. And the giving and receiving makes us realize our oneness, that we are on both sides. And that's the experience of love. The experience of love is I am on both sides. So relationships are experiments in love.
Yeah, makes sense. I share one last lesson that I learned, and this would be like regarding needs that I had. And I don't know if like
regarding what?
Needs, if I had some need from my partner. Or if I wanted something and it was not being met, or it wasn't considered, like she wouldn't consider it. And I don't know if also like the teaching maybe influenced me a bit, but I was seeing these needs or these wants that I had, this as I was saying to myself, yeah, why would you need this to make you happy somehow? So you shouldn't rely on something like this for your happiness. So I was trying to work on it and maybe put it under the carpet, so to speak. But yeah, I feel like maybe next time it's important to address this stuff. Like if I want something from my partner, I should say, look, I told you that this would have been nice for me, and then you don't even think about it. So, but yeah, I know ultimately it's not that any desire could make me happy. Like it's.
I think in a relationship of this kind, we should be like a child. Like a child before the child has been even corrupted by the parents, who are in ignorance. The innocence of the child, a very young child can do anything, can say anything, it's just spontaneous. So in a relationship, we should be ourselves completely. We should be without defense, really. Or at least we should find these moments when we are completely allowed to be the way we are. Nobody is perfect, nobody is. But the perfection, the real perfection is in this childlikeness, this innocence that we can resonate with. It's not in intellectual complexity, it's not in, no. And both partners also should understand and realize that they are learning from the relationship. Relationships are schools, they are universities, they are the university of love, right? And in other words, we cannot come there saying, I know, because we don't. We have to learn from the partner, and the partner has to learn from us. And this mutual learning is also part of the connection, of the communication. And also something else, be demanding. If you go into a relationship and you have a little signal that tells you, be careful. I mean, don't waste too much time trying to make work something that doesn't in the beginning,
Definitely, yeah. I haven't been so demanding in my life in general, I would say.
Well, I think men are less demanding than women.
Okay,
and
yeah.
that's because we are not that smart, So Jean Klein used to say we should allow women to choose us rather than try to choose them. Okay, Marios.
Thank you so much, Francis. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yes, Marco. Hi.
Hi, Francis. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well. My question is about perfectionism. It happens to me that if I do an activity at work, even helping in solving an health issue of my mom, there is always the strive to get the best possible results. To what extent, Francis, do you think that is kind of the byproduct of feeling separate, a sort of egoic aspect? And to what extent perfectionism in a small percentage can be the outcome of wanting harmony and love to be expressed in the best best possible way.
Well, there is a distinction to be made between love for perfection and obsession with details. Love for perfection in what we do is, if you will, a reflection on our daily activities of the absolute perfection of our true nature. But so for instance, there are people that tend to do a little bit of everything, and other people tend to do a lot with a few things. And we are all different, but this, I feel it's a quality to seek perfection. In other words, in order to have 100 different activities, like playing the piano, the saxophone, the cello, the trumpet, the drums, and at the same time play tennis, soccer, football, basketball, volleyball, swimming, running, etc. You are not very likely to be good and to really enjoy all of those, right? There is a limited amount of time, So it's I think it's intelligence to understand this, that it's more rewarding to dig deeply, to dig deeply in a few places if you try to find water, than to dig very shallow wells all over the place. You're more likely in this way to find the water. And in addition, if you have this understanding, this quality, when that which you are trying to find is the truth, that will help. This mindset of seeking perfection is going to help. Well, that's all I can say on this question for the time being.
Thank you so much, Francis. One very last part of this question related to, how our past behaviors. Very straightforward question. Consider that the past doesn't exist anymore, doesn't exist at all. Does it make sense to reconsider my past behavior, which didn't come from intelligence, or I just have to stick to the present moment and abolish this sort of regret about my past behavior? Or there is still a possibility to learn from my mistake, as we used to say?
The past, whatever happened in the past, God did it. There was not a separate entity that did anything in the past. Because my decisions came to me as a person. I didn't choose them, so it was all. My decision to believe to be a separate person, that came. That was a decision made by the Absolute. So everything, the responsibility for the past action is on the shoulders of the Absolute. If I feel guilty, it perpetuates ignorance. It perpetuates the belief that I am a person that did this and that in the past. Now, in the now, if I believe to be a separate person, I perpetuate. So my action, the right action in the now, is one which is in line with the universality of consciousness, meaning you and I are the same. I'm not trying to screw you, etc. You see, truth, love, beauty in the now has to be the determining factor of my actions and decisions. Because when I do that, I am responsible. So in the now, I am responsible. From the past, I'm not guilty. The future, it doesn't exist yet, so I don't worry about it.
Thank you so much, Love. Thank you.
I don't know what I've done here. Sorry, I've done anyway. Okay. Hi, Hassan.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Francis, this is kind of a like a question I come to this place a lot, and so I'm sorry if there are emotional charges that come out through it. But it's about confidence, like true confidence. I'm aware that the only true confidence that we can have is in our being. The only thing that we can be certain of and we can trust is in our being that is.
And your experience, yes.
Exactly, yes. In the immediate experience of being. However, this that confidence, in my experience, is only accessible when there is a turning inwards. So turning away from the object of experience. In your analogy of the room, it's when the light is off, I can really experience my being. And there's a confidence and trust and certainty in that. And even a security, but all of those things I understand are easy to attach to. But that confidence, when the lights go on, when there's experience, even interacting with you right now in relationships, in my job especially, when the light comes on, that confidence immediately diminishes or seems to diminish. And much like when we are in a state of unknown, not knowing the habit, the patterns, the habit to, sorry, much like when there's an absence of knowingness and the habit to rely on patterns and conditionings and familiarity, for me, judgment and religious conditioning come in and kind of fill that void of confidence. And I don't know, honestly, like it's like all or nothing for me. It's I'm either here being eyes closed or eyes even open, but aware, not interacting, and there's confidence or just doubt, self-doubt, mistrust, etc.
Well, The way forward is to allow the thoughts about the truth to unfold, to allow for all the doubts and objections to be reevaluated up until all these thoughts will find their conclusion in you. There is a moment when there is a final conclusion or quasi-final. You see, you are still in a moment of transition, of evolution. And also, the way we acquire a trust in this new perspective is by conducting experiment. In other words, there has to be a connection between the understanding when you have the glimpse and then how you try to implement this understanding in your life. For instance, to understand that any form of judgment comes from ignorance, ultimately, to judge a person, right? To any form of hate, any form of attachment to concepts that fly in the face of love, of truth, of beauty. All of that is has to be, we need the courage to, as far as what we do is concerned, to implement these impersonal values in our life. And then we see the outcome of it in terms of harmony, peace, absence of worries, and also in the world. And sometimes that brings about drastic changes, in our relation with other people, in our professional activities. What kind of job are you in?
I'm an account manager for a financial tech company, but this is my eighth career. I've done a lot of different things. I've been in automotive, pharmaceuticals, research, lobbying. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, you're a smart
Just getting older. I'm just getting older. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes. The trust is built through living the truth the best we can. It builds itself. I'm just giving you a seed, if you will, and then it's by allowing for the seed to grow and seeing the truth in you, becoming the master of your own destiny, and the freedom from all conditioning, You'll see that happens. It doesn't mean, however, that we have to be blatant with our opinions. It doesn't mean we have to shock other people, we have to be more like Rumi and less like Halaj, if you see what I mean.
Kind of.
We don't want to confront in in a way which is too oppositional and too and lacks compassion. We don't want to preach non-duality to those who are not open to it. For instance, we have to live it the best we can with diplomacy, with love, you see, with intelligence. But we have to fight our own conditioning, yes. We have to fight our own conditioning, and that's a real fight, that's a spiritual fight. Doubts are to be welcome. Doubts are beautiful because if you think about it, the fact that we have spiritual doubts implies that we already have doubts about being a separate consciousness. You may have doubts about being a universal consciousness, and that's perfectly okay, you see? Because the very fact that you are asking these questions implies that you also have doubts about being a separate consciousness. In ignorance, we know I am separate. There is no room for anything else. And then we have this, but there is an openness, and there is a little this here that appears, And gradually, it changes that way. And that which is the agent of this transition, if you will, is our eagerness for it and our willingness to implement it in our life, this new perspective of non-duality, and to allow for it to do the job.
So maybe if I word this differently back to you, there's a growing certainty in what we truly are, what I truly am. And the doubts that I have about, for example, what do I do next? Like after this call, after this gathering, what am I going to do with my time today? That's the other side of the coin. That's the belief in a separate self of, does that make sense? I
No. I mean, it's true for me. What am I going to do? It depends. I don't know. It's open. Depends on the weather. I don't know. I haven't looked outside. I don't know what the weather is like. I don't know what.
So there isn't like this thing in your experience of like, oh, I know this is the best thing to do after this call. This is the right thing or the best thing or the.
No, it's whatever is going to come up in the moment. No, I mean, the next moment is open.
Wow.
I mean, it's boring to have everything pre-planned, Because then you're like these people. Okay, I wake up every morning at 7. From 7 to 7:05, I go to the bathroom. 7:05 to 7:10, I prepare my tea, etc., etc., etc. 8 o'clock, I go to the garage, take my car, drive to work. 8:30, I have at work. I say hi to the and then it's.
So how do you I guess like know you're doing the right thing or do you know what I mean? Like that's I think my real struggle in the confidence is like how do I know what I'm doing is
Okay.
what I should be doing.
If I enjoy it, and if it doesn't hurt anybody, that's the right thing. That's already a lot of things that you can do, right?
Yeah.
Something you enjoy
Huge.
that doesn't hurt anybody. Because we want happy campers in the world. Happy campers, people who enjoy doing what they are doing, and that doesn't hurt anybody. You know, the first principle: don't do harm, right? Don't do harm. Enjoy. You know, it doesn't hurt anybody if you like to take walks in nature. You know, it doesn't hurt anybody if you like to have a nice breakfast. It doesn't hurt anybody, etc. You know, so that's the first thing. Follow your enthusiasm. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody, if your enthusiasm is to try to find out about the truth, to try to implement the truth, follow your enthusiasm. Rediscover the enthusiasm you had as a young child. Become a child again, you know, in that sense.
And
we become a child and we know everything. You know, we have been in the world, we have traveled, you have learned science, accounting, finance, economics, the stock market. We know all of that, you know, and then we are a child again.
And you said fight the conditioning, but it's also almost like fight the fear or meet the fear, right?
You're afraid, we are afraid but I mean, there are things we are legitimately to be afraid of, you know. There are things we don't want to say because they might have negative outcomes. But within ourselves, we are completely free. That's something we have to understand. Inside, there is complete freedom.
Wow. I'll sit with this one, Francis. Thank you.
Yeah. Rediscover the child. And it's the child in us is has been asphyxiated by all these germs, this conditioning, these things, but it's still alive. So you have to remove all this stuff that keeps it asphyxiated, or you can feel completely free from all societal conditioning, religious conditioning, moral conditioning, to discover within yourself absolute freedom. Nobody will know, but within yourself. You know, my teacher, Jean-Claude, he looked and acted like a perfect East European gentleman aristocrat. The way he dressed, the way he spoke, the way he behaved, the way he was, you know, just perfect. But when you knew him better, you knew that inside he was a loose cannon. Inside there was his freedom, and that's the beauty of it. So you have to discover the child in you and this freedom. You have to allow for yourself to be free. You know, Vivekananda, when he came to Europe, he said something, well, in India, we have religious freedom because the husband can be a worshipper of Vishnu, and the wife can be a worshipper of Ganesha, and we know it's the same. So we don't matter. It doesn't matter much. We understand all religions. But our societal rules, they are very, very, very strict. In Europe, your societal rules, they are different. You have divorce, you have all that. They are not, but you are very strict on the religion. So at the time, right? So he said, so in the best of two worlds, you are free from religion and free from societal rules.
Beautiful, Francis. Thank you so very much.
Okay, Oui. Yes.
Oui, bonjour. J'ai découvert votre chaîne, j'ai regardé beaucoup votre chaîne, j'aime beaucoup. Vous m'entendez bien? Le son, ça va?
The problem is, do you speak English?
Yes, I speak English, of course. Yes.
So we are in English, yes. So go ahead.
No problem. I listen to your videos on your channel. I really enjoy. I don't really have a question. I just came like this. I wanted to see. And what is your parcours? How did you find Advaita? Can you speak a little bit about this? How did you find Advaita? And why for you Advaita is the real truth? And why is it this awareness that we are in the heart? Why is it the truth for you? Can you share?
Advaita means non-duality. It's an Indian word, but the truth has nothing to do with India or France or anything else. The truth is universal. It's like, does the Big Bang have anything to do with France, India, or anything? No, the Big Bang is equally true for Indians or Hindus as it is for French people. So the truth is one, right? Each of us, we discover it through various ways. Each human being has his own path. In my case, I was disappointed. I had being successful in my studies. I mean, I had done what, all French, I was been successful, I had went to the best engineering school in France, and I was working, and I realized that I was married, I had a child, and that neither my achievements in my studies or in my family had brought about the happiness I sought. In fact, I was miserable. And one day I was making a stop in a business trip, coming back from Germany. I went to the Quartier Latin in Paris, and that's where my engineering, it was my campus, I was there as a student. And I went to Rue Saint-Séverin, and there was a bookstore. I entered the bookstore. I knew I had psychological issues. I was not happy. I went there. There was a book that attracted my attention. It was by Krishnamurti. I went to a bistro, the terrace of a bistro nearby in Place Saint-Séverin, I think, and I started reading this book. And it had a very deep impact on me. I read the entire book in 3 hours. Oh. And I mean, I had read a lot of philosophy, a lot of stuff, but this thing somehow, I went back to the bookstore. I bought all the books by the same guy, and that's how my interest started. But he was not accessible, difficult. And at some point, the desire to meet someone who would experience his freedom, because I said, okay, a book, that's nice, but that's a theory. how does he live,
Yeah.
Does he eat his soup like me, or does he kind of, I had all kinds of wrong ideas about that. So I wanted to meet someone. And then I was in Aix-en-Provence at the time. I was working in Marseille. And I met a guy, and this guy told me, I met the teacher you are seeking. And that's how I met my teacher, Jean Klein.
Okay.
And that he came from a tradition. He had been to India, had a teacher in India, and that was a tradition known as Advaita Vedanta. But he was not using Indian words, actually. He was not wearing a robe,
Yes,
he didn't take an Indian name. He remained very, as I said earlier, European gentleman. And I followed him up until his death, actually. And yes.
Okay. 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 So I'm doing some things that I want to share now because I'm doing some interviews, and sometimes I would like to do with you. It's maybe person to person and ask some questions to share with the people so they can have some kind of access to the truth, And I interview different masters, like different teachers, and I did with Teja and many Sadhguru. I also so the different teachers I explored, and so I'm doing this kind of interviews. Maybe we can do it one time. We'll see what happens. Because I really enjoy your teaching, so I think it's very good if people can access to it.
I didn't get your question.
So like no problem. So I do some kind of interviews of different teachers, and maybe one day I will interview you. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yes.
You can contact me, I guess, through the website.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. I really enjoy your videos. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
De rien. Avec plaisir. Okay. Nam. Oh, Nam, I thought about you.
Oh.
I thought about you yesterday.
Was it? Wow. Great.
I was watching a movie in South Korea, a South Korean movie. So a lousy movie, but I thought of you. I was wondering how you were doing. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm well, and Francis, I was kind of working hard for the last nearly two years. 2 years working relatively hard for me, but 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 so I could save some money, and I could develop some skill which is useful for like practical, and then but nowadays I really think my priority is just this journey, the spiritual journey. I really want to put this journey as my absolute priority, the best I can for the rest of my life also. And I just yeah, but like yes, so in that context, I was thinking about you, and it's Francis is the only I think only the teacher you 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 achieve everything without renouncing, without kind of those things like the sannyasi. I don't know, some wasting. Anyway, I just want to just focus on finishing my journey. So thing is, I have to prioritize the seeking for truth, everything, all the time, the best I can, no matter like the family, money, health, or job. They are they are less important. Always the best I can. That's the attitude I think I have to, because as I work, I sometimes just I sometimes justify my money, and because sometimes people don't try to give me money at the right time, and I was demanding, oh, give me my money and also my health. They kind of, I justified those things. So I just want to, you know, and also the thought. It's just many like this. I'm enjoying thought. I influenced by you, so I'm enjoying thought. Funny, creative, loving, whatever, beautiful memory. But there can be attachment as a person, like oh, I'm really yeah, this is my thought, my person's thought, great, my thought, my. There can be those hidden ignorance. So I think I would like to, yeah, and the final thought was why Francis have meditation in your satsang, your retreat, because you don't really suggest sitting quiet time. You don't really suggest. So but you have like the meditation, quiet meditation. So maybe that still you value somehow. That was my thought, Francis.
I understand. Meditate, yes. Meditate if you feel like it. Meditate if you feel like it, up until you don't see any difference in meditating versus non-meditating. So meditation, when we sit and we simply allow for the flow of perceptions to pass by without interfering, is a stepping stone. At some point, we realize there is no difference whatsoever whether I sit and I meditate or whether I go to the supermarket to buy food. You see? But yes, as long as you feel like meditating in this way, yes, do it. Yes. And you know how to meditate because we have done that together. So
yeah,
just sit.
I was always.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was little wondering what's the experience to Francis, because for Francis you don't need meditation at all. You are not interested in that, but you sit there with us for 45 minutes, and for you it's not really, you expect nothing of course, but to but you do it with us. Why? To help us, to guide us, to encourage us. So,
This presence is inside and everywhere. It kind of communicates itself through all kinds of means and paths, and through the words, through the expressions, the smiles, the enthusiasm, the love, the intelligence, and also through the silence, through this absence of lack, absence of worries, absence of It's like a young child who is in his room and has heard some noise, some cracking in the house, and thinks that there is a lion or a wolf in the house, and goes to his parents' bedroom, and they take him in bed with them, and they fall asleep next to him, and he's reassured because they are not afraid. So their fearlessness kind of gets transmitted. I don't know through what, through the regular breathing of the parents he hears, the fact that they are not moving, that they are not even looking for the lion, and he falls asleep. So this experience of meditation, if you will, communicates itself through all kinds of paths. And then something in us remembers it when, you have meditated with us, you know it. So you just, on your own, you can go to it. In the beginning, it's not perhaps as easy, but you can find it on your own again. It's there. But at some point, it has to be integrated in your life. And actually, it could be said that when you meditate, let's say for 1 hour, and true meditation is what happens when you stop this doing nothing, right? And you go and you start going about your business, your practical matters, or just enjoying something. Because then even this residual restriction of sitting in one single place, you're not moving much, of not thinking about practical matters, gets removed. And then you are completely in this freedom, and you enjoy really the meditation after the meditation.
Yeah, Francis, you don't really like to encourage, or just keep like going all the way to the journey, this journey, like you because I'm still seeing you I want to see where you see without confusion. I want it, but I feel there's a big difference. I don't know where I am and how long, but and yeah, so mm, but do you encourage it, just to go, I'm for that, like, because I want that, and so what, I don't know.
There is no essential difference between you and me? You believe there is one? No. I'm talking about essential difference. Whatever appears and disappears, that's always different. But your reality, what you truly are, what I truly am, that's the same. There is no difference. We are, you and I, we are the same consciousness. That which speaks and that which hears is the same. I'm only talking to myself, and you're only listening to yourself. I was thinking about you, and there must be some people in Seoul who are interested in the same thing. Have you met people there?
Yeah. Actually, I recently met kind of the met group and in Seoul. Like so I attended the meeting 3 times now. You know,
That's a good thing. Yes. Is it a Zen group or?
yeah. It's the kind of the Zen, part of Zen. It's like kind of tradition, one of a tradition. It's like the if I translate, it's investigation Zen. So it's kind of dying part of Zen, but it's really the same as the Advaita. Only difference they don't use word I, just only and just to no liberation of individual. Just they just don't denying kind of disregard existence to I, but it's actually same. Just after all, it's just only this or consciousness or so same.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? Because I was following you because you are very rational. I can follow your thought and yes, makes sense. But I knew her before, but it was confusing. It because she was not really uh rationally describing the truth. She's just pointing, like it's like beating, like a beating. But what's that? I was not attracted, but after many years with you, I just suddenly just hear her and wow, it kept reminding me like experientially. So wow, I just came back. So it was interesting.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye. Nice
Thank
talking
you.
to you.
Goodbye, Francis.
I,
Nice,
I
nice.
thought about you last night and you just appear here today. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Denise, I think you are the boss already. I don't know. No, here you are the boss. No? Let me stop the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Francis. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
Love to you
Francis.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
Bye, friends.
Thank you so
Love you,
much.
Francis.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Sending you lots of love.
I'm going to open up some breakout rooms if anybody wants to sit longer and visit. Just give me a minute. Oops. Okay. Rooms are open and also people can just talk in this room if you don't want to go to a room, since it's not a retreat, so there aren't often a lot of people who stay. Hi, Nom.
Hello,
Hi.
Dennis?
Yeah. Can you see me? I have my
Oh,
camera on.
Hey, Eric, it's Lynn. Did you get my email from your website about the Atmananda book online that I found? The audio book?
No. When did you send it?
Last week. It was on your website, on your Atmananda page, and I went to the comments, and I thought it sent you an email, but I put a link to the book for you. I
Oh,
thought it was
interesting.
I thought it was interesting that someone commandeered the book and it was audio.
Well, I removed the page, actually, the Atmananda page. So it's interesting that you found it. I wonder what that's
It's
about.
still there because I found it from a previous link to the same page.